that one would be approved. That would be the BlackRock one. But a view that given some of the things that have happened in court recently with the SEC losing, that maybe the SEC is now more open to approving one of these types of funds. Is it?
Well, good morning, Andrew. And I can't say whether or not the commission is ready to approve a Bitcoin exchange traded product. I've been thinking we should approve one for the last 5 years. So that the logic for why we haven't has always mystified me. The court case obviously is an important factor in the landscape, but I can't guess as to my colleagues' approach to this topic.
But the reason I ask is there's a sort of a speculative fever taking place throughout Wall Street and other parts of the crypto world that believe that given those court results or those losses, if you will, or specifically that one loss, that it would change the thinking of the other commissioners at the SEC. You spend time with them. You talk to them. Do you see any shift in terms of that type of thinking, just even generally speaking?
I really can't speak to what we're going to do on the Bitcoin exchange traded products. I can say that generally the agency has not been very good when it comes to anything related to Bitcoin or other crypto assets. And look, I hope that every day I hope that they'll wake up and they'll think, you know what, we need to take a more productive approach. That hasn't happened yet, but I'm of course hoping that it will.
But I guess the question is, should the public take anything away from the fact that a BlackRock or a Fidelity or somebody of that size, scale, perhaps reputation, is applying for these things, that somehow is validating this space in a way that perhaps maybe some of the smaller firms that had applied for such types of funds earlier did not?
Well, I think it's a reflection of the fact that there are a lot of firms that think the public is interested in these kinds of products. Again, you know, people have to be careful about trying to read the tea leaves of what agencies are doing, and I'm not going to contribute to that. I'm just going to say that, you know, obviously we're seeing more and more interest from firms in these products, and I hear a lot of interest from investors in these kinds of products as well.
Welcome to the Crypto Teacher. And you know I come back with that video just to make you think.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Support this great content by hitting the Cash App and by joining the Patreon.
And we have Hester Pierce playing the Hegelian dialectic. She doesn't know why the SEC hasn't already approved the spot Bitcoin ETF. And she stays on the talking points like she doesn't work for the SEC. The SEC is regulating by enforcement. How many times we heard that from people outside of the SEC? We should have laid down regulatory framework a long time ago. She is doing textbook Hegelian dialectic. We know why Gary Gensler and the SEC has been kicking the regulation can down the road, because they want the emerging markets led by China to rise for this fourth industrial revolution, where the robots, algorithms, and drones take the economy over, pay each other with crypto, and the sheep go inside the metaverse. And remember, the Crypto Teacher told you.
Of last year were not positive for crypto's image, certainly. It's a good moment for all of us to sit down and think about how did we get to this place. And I think there's a lot of work the industry needs to do, and thinking about applying, you know, traditional lessons from traditional finance that have been learned the hard way over the years, applying those in the crypto space. But there's also an opportunity for regulators to sort of think, what could we have done differently? And I think one thing we could have done differently is to craft a framework that provided people clear guidelines and made the United States the kind of place where crypto companies wanted to be registered and based. And that would have been very helpful for then distinguishing good actors from bad actors. We still have the opportunity to do that. I think there is a lot of interest on the congressional side to try to do something around crypto. You know, again, my agency has mostly focused on bringing enforcement actions, which is just not a really efficient way of bringing regulatory clarity to the space.
do you have any sense that real legislation is going to be made? I mean, we've had a number of lawmakers come on the program, talk about legislation, this and that, but here we have a situation the House doesn't even have a speaker, and you think to yourself, and we've talked for a decade about regulating, social media and all sorts of other things that no one, a lot of people talk about, and then nothing ever really gets done. Do you have any reason to think that something will?
Well, I mean, I cautioned about reading regulatory tea leaves, and I'm careful about trying to read political tea leaves. But I would say that there is widening interest in trying to do something, and whether it's a broader bill or whether it's taking things piece by piece, I don't know. But I think there's clearly perceived to be a need to do something in this space, and I think that's really encouraging.
Has your view shifted at all? We have, by the way, on the screen, and I don't know if you can see it, we have Bitcoin, Ether, Solana, Ripple, and Dogecoin on the screen. I think there's been some shift in thought around what cryptocurrency really is, which ones matter, things like that. Have you sort of changed or shifted your views around that? Do you say to yourself, Bitcoin is one thing and that's in its own special camp, and maybe Ether's in another, and maybe these others are something else entirely?
Well, I think different crypto assets have been developed and different blockchains have been developed for different purposes. And that's something that people are doing a lot of experimentation with. So it's been interesting to me as a regulator, not a technologist, just to watch that experimentation, to watch different uses for the different blockchains emerge. And, look, the market is going to ultimately decide whether any or all of these stay around. And, we'll see how that develops. It'll be fun to watch, but there are different uses for the different blockchains.
But do you think some of them are just pure speculation? And if they are, do you think that they should be regulated? Meaning, part of the issue has been that I think there's been some real great skepticism inside the SEC and elsewhere that some of these things may be real, but others may not be at all. And if they are not at all, maybe there's no reason to be even trying to regulate them, because by regulating them, to some degree, you're endorsing what it is.
Well, look, I think people speculate about lots of different things, and especially in low interest rate environments, people speculate about lots of things. It's not my job as a regulator to tell people what they can and can't purchase and what they can and can't speculate about, right? Speculation is what makes our markets work. I encourage everyone to be skeptical about everything they're buying. And so, yeah, you should be asking, if you are interested in crypto and you're thinking of buying a crypto asset, you should be asking a lot of questions. You should be trying to figure out what the purpose of a particular crypto asset is, and that's fine. But the idea that by affording people a regulatory framework, we're providing a regulatory seal of approval is the wrong way to think about things. We at the SEC have a job to be disclosure regulators, and so if we're given the job to write disclosure regulations for crypto assets, that is not a seal of approval.
And we have Blackrock buying Bitcoin, getting ready for the spot Bitcoin ETF. And we also know Ethereum spot ETF will be around the corner. But we had Bitcoin spike before pulling back. And those who are part of my stock Patreon account, inside that newsletter, I told you what was going to happen. If you're not signed up to the premium newsletter, make sure you get signed up. Guys, you do not want to be caught on the wrong side of history. And remember, the Cryptoteacher told you. Now, guys, we still don't have a Speaker of the House. That means that no bills are getting passed. And we're days away from a shutdown. And we know how the NWO loves drama. Remember, all the distractions that we have going on, even the spot Bitcoin ETF is still a distraction for the fourth industrial revolution. Do not forget that. And we constantly hear how great the economy is doing. Guys, we have all these strikes going on. And we clearly see the consumer is hurting. But when we listen to mainstream media or the Fed, the consumer is in great shape. But if you actually go to the numbers, that's all you got to do is take time and look at the numbers. You will see inflation and high rates are destroying the American people. And guys, we know that's on purpose. We're in a fragmented world. They have to break up every sector in order to bring in this digital transformation. And remember, the Cryptoteacher told you, because he knows when it comes to the NWO, it's all planned out. You have a wonderful day.
The fastest way to get to work for the American people is to elect a speaker so the House can be open and we can get things done.
Treasury yields ticking higher this morning. The 10-year back above 5% as investors assess the prospect for higher long-term rates. And Leisman is a faithful Squawk Box viewer. And you say it there and it comes out here. I was afraid to say, that some people were above 5% for GDP. I didn't even want to say it in case I was wrong. You told me that the average is 4.5, but the Atlanta Fed, do you see that? Atlanta Fed 5.4. Leisman messaged me when we were talking.
Yeah.
That.
And I got a bunch of folks here, Joe, at 5 and change. Yeah.
Wow. Inventory something? I mean, what fluky things?
No, a lot of it's you have a lot of different aspects, Joe, but you also have the consumer doing quite well. And I'll tell you what's happening this week. No, but look at the retail sales numbers, Joe. They caused everybody to revise up.
And Americans are falling behind on their car payments at the highest rate in nearly 30 years. Fitch says the percent of subprime borrowers who are at least 60 days late on their loans rose to 6.1% in September. That is the highest level, Sarah, since 1994. I'll send things back over to you.
Yep, high rates, taking a bite.
Going to a different economy, and we're going to be learning more about that as we go. But clearly, we're learning that things can be done from remote locations. We're learning that technology can replace people even more than we thought.
We're not going back to the same economy. We're recovering, but to a different economy, and it'll be one that is more leveraged to technology. And I worry that that is going to make it even more difficult than it was for many workers.
In Silicon Valley, and my friends who work in technology know that what we did to the manufacturing workers, we are now going to do to the retail workers, the call center workers, the fast food workers, the truck drivers, and then even bookkeepers, accountants, insurance agents, lawyers, and on through the economy. So what happened to the manufacturing workers is a very clear sign.
And so we'll import Chinese-based CBDC technology. So it's going to be CBDC in a box provided to you by the People's Bank of China.
But every stock, every bond, every currency, every commodity, every piece of art, every private business, every piece of real estate will eventually be a token on a blockchain, an entry on a ledger, permanent and immutable. We will have truth instead of trust, and we will save over $7 trillion a year. 6 to 8% of global GDP is wasted by the friction of the trust industry that's necessary when you have dual entry accounting. With triple entry accounting, which is what a blockchain is, we get rid of all of that friction. It's a beautiful future.
Like what you see in China and their social credit scoring systems, right? If we get identity wrong, it could be a tool to enslave humanity. And if we get it right, it could be a tool to liberate humanity. And as an American, I'm obviously rooting for the one that's on the side of freedom.
Bitcoin is an international asset. And also, I do believe the role of crypto is it's digitizing gold.
I actually believe this technology is going to be very important. Look at it. We have been part of the huge revolution in investing through ETFs. We believe that ETFs will be changing the whole way we invest. Many people still use it as a means, people are investing it for indexing. No, the majority of people who are putting money in in ETFs are active investors that are buying exposure. The entire bond market is being transformed as we talk right now. I believe the next generation for markets, the next generation for securities will be tokenization of securities. And if we could have that distributed ledger that we know every beneficial owner, every beneficial seller, we all have our code of who's buying, who's selling, instantaneous settlement. And think about it, it changes the whole ecosystem.
Cryptoteacher and the new World Order book, plus the 3 Kids books. It's time to re-educate. Also, new to cryptos, Coinbase, Bitrue, Binance. Do not forget book links and crypto links are in the description. The stock channel, guys. Don't forget to go like, subscribe, spread everywhere. You have your Kobo, your chip stocks, your banking, your gaming. While everybody's sitting at home, get on stocks, the Seaver, the biotech stocks. And while everybody's at home wishing, they were still getting that free money. What are they doing? Drinking and smoking weed. Don't forget about those stocks, and you have a wonderful day. The most powerful person in the world is the storyteller. The storyteller sets the vision, values, and agenda of an entire generation to come. Steve Jobs. And guys, you know I truly believe in this. When you look at the New World Order, they're the storytellers. And that's the reason why I wrote my New World Order book. But guys, now it's time to change the current generation. And I wrote 3 kids' books. You know I love the Trinity because I understand the power that's in it. So I have 3 books. We have an opportunity to change the generation, to educate, not just me, but I want to show you that I take action on a daily basis. And I want you to take action on a daily basis. Whether it's your job, whether it's in your community, we have an opportunity right now to educate the masses. I posted this on my Twitter account. Please share, but this is a short clip of the 3 books. There's going to be a clothing line and action figures. Please get these books for your kids, nephews, cousins, friends, so therefore we can start the re-education now. Because as we see, the 4th Industrial Revolution foundation is definitely here. Robots, algorithms, drones, taking humanity out the picture. We have to re-educate. But let's get into the video.
Part 1. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save the village. Part 2. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save New York from COVID Stories 3. Part 3. King Joshua and Grandma Tam goes to China.
It's mandatory to get part 1, part 2, and part 3 of this series. It's time to re-educate Generation Z.